They've already used ground-penetrating radar on the site, and they know that there's much more Göbekli Tepe still underground. Göbekli Tepe definitely, deliberately finished, closed off, buried, covered with earth, covered with rubble, and then topped off with a hill.
Imagine uncovering a secret so ancient it challenges everything we thought we knew about human history. What if everything we've been taught about the rise of civilization is wrong? 6,000 years ago, a mysterious culture in ancient Iraq appeared to leap forward in time, leaving behind knowledge far beyond its age. Now, with the help of AI, ancient tablets are revealing shocking truths, lost technologies, cosmic knowledge, and secrets about our origins that could rewrite history.
They're pulling answers from different universes. They don't even completely understand how this is working.
The culture that created these writings came from a land between two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. This region, which today is part of modern-day Iraq, was home to one of the earliest known civilizations, the Sumerians. They lived around 6,000 years ago, and their rise to power and influence was nothing short of extraordinary. In a relatively short span of time, they developed a sophisticated society that included writing, laws, astronomical observations, and more. But what makes this even more remarkable is the speed at which it all happened. Unlike other cultures that spend centuries advancing from hunting and gathering to complex societies, the Sumerians seem to have jumped straight into advanced practices almost overnight. At the heart of this rapid transformation was one key invention: writing. The Sumerians didn't simply create a way to keep records, they invented a completely new method of communication. They used a system of symbols pressed into clay tablets to record everything from trade transactions to royal decrees, poetry, and even entire stories. This new form of writing, known as cuneiform, was the first of its kind. It allowed people to preserve their thoughts and ideas in a permanent way. For the first time, history could be written down, not just passed on orally from generation to generation. But the Sumerians didn't just stop at writing. Their invention had far-reaching consequences, not just for their civilization, but for ours as well. One of the most fascinating aspects of their writing system was the way they used numbers. The Sumerians didn't rely on a simple base 10 system like we do today. Instead, they used a base 60 system, a concept that still influences us in modern times. Think about it. There are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 360 degrees in a circle. These units of time and measurement can all be traced back to the Sumerians and their advanced understanding of mathematics. But as scholars began to dive deeper into the Sumerian tablets, they discovered something even more surprising. Hidden among the usual records of grain shipments and administrative notes, there were references to things that seemed far beyond the knowledge of people living 6,000 years ago. Some of these references were to strange astronomical observations, while others hinted at medical knowledge that seemed out of place for its time. As more and more tablets were uncovered, it became clear that the Sumerians may have known things that we didn't realize until centuries later. Fast forward to today, and the story of the Sumerians is being written anew. With the help of cutting-edge technology, researchers are uncovering more about the Sumerians than ever before. One of the most significant breakthroughs has come from the use of artificial intelligence, AI. In the past, reading these ancient texts was a laborious process that could take years, even for experts. Deciphering the thousands of unique signs and symbols used in Sumerian writing was a task that only a small group of scholars could manage. However, thanks to AI, this process has been dramatically sped up. Researchers in Munich began experimenting with machine learning to help read and reconstruct broken tablets. What started as a tool for matching fragments of clay quickly grew into a powerful tool for translating entire texts. AI could now recognize patterns in the writing, isolating individual signs and interpreting their meaning. Over time, the AI system became so advanced that it could even read across different scribes and time periods, allowing scholars to get a clearer picture of Sumerian society than ever before. In fact, by 2023, researchers at Tel Aviv and Ariel University had developed an AI that could translate ancient Akkadian, a language found on many of the Sumerian tablets, into English with remarkable speed and accuracy. A task that once took years now takes mere hours. It's as if the AI is a time machine, unlocking the secrets of the past in an instant. And the discoveries just keep coming. One of the most exciting finds came from new digs in Iraq, where a group of archaeologists uncovered a collection of tablets that were in pristine condition. These tablets, dating back to around 1800 BCE, are believed to be transcriptions of even older originals. They offer a glimpse into the earliest days of Sumerian civilization, giving us a more complete understanding of how they lived, thought, and worked. The excitement didn't stop there. Further digs at an ancient Sumerian city called Girzu turned up over 200 untouched tablets, many of which were preserved in bitumen-lined containers, protecting them from moisture and damage. These tablets are a treasure trove of information, offering fresh insights into the beginnings of Sumerian culture. And with the help of AI, researchers are able to read these tablets faster than ever before, unlocking knowledge that has been hidden for millennia. As technology advances, so do the revelations. In 2025, researchers at Würzburg University developed new tools that could detect subtle meanings and idiomatic expressions in Sumerian texts that human translators had missed for decades. These discoveries have been nothing short of extraordinary. Among the findings are detailed records of planetary motion, solstices, and even hints of a phenomenon known as Earth's precession, a subtle wobble in the planet's rotation that modern astronomers only fully understood in recent years. It's as if the Sumerians were tracking cosmic cycles that spanned tens of thousands of years, knowledge that was far ahead of its time. But the discoveries didn't stop with astronomy. The tablets also contained references to medicine that seemed too advanced for the era. Some described the use of antiseptics and treatments for trauma, while others hinted an understanding of genetics. The Sumerians even recorded family health data in a way that suggests they had a rudimentary understanding of inherited traits, a concept that wouldn't be formally explained by modern science until the 20th century. Perhaps most intriguing of all is the mention of early electrical concepts in the tablets. Descriptions of copper and iron vessels immersed in acidic liquids are strikingly similar to what we now know as a form of early battery technology. Some researchers have even speculated that the Sumerians were experimenting with electricity long before it became a mainstream scientific concept. Whether by accident or design, the Sumerians seem to have been documenting processes that align closely with modern electrical theories. These findings raise even more questions about the Sumerians' knowledge and capabilities. Could they have had access to technologies that we still don't fully understand today? As we continue to uncover more of their ancient records, the answers may become clearer. But for now, one thing is certain. The Sumerians were not just a primitive civilization. They were a people who thousands of years ago may have been on the cutting edge of science, technology, and understanding of the world around them. And thanks to modern tools like AI, we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of their ancient wisdom. The Sumerians were truly pioneers in many ways, and their contributions have influenced every civilization that followed. Among their most notable achievements was the development of cuneiform writing. This system of writing, one of the oldest in the world, wasn't just a way to record the mundane tasks of daily life. It was a revolutionary step forward in human communication. For the first time, people could leave a permanent record of their thoughts, ideas, and events. It wasn't just about keeping track of grain supplies or trade. The Sumerians used their writing to record stories, poems, and royal decrees. They used it to immortalize their gods, their kings, and even their creation myths. Before the Sumerians, humans relied on oral traditions to pass down knowledge. But this was a fragile system. With the advent of cuneiform, however, knowledge could be preserved for future generations. The Sumerians didn't just record what happened in their world. They created a way to make their world last forever. Their writing system allowed them to record everything from the mundane to the divine. They wrote about the harvest, about kings, about laws, and about the gods they worshipped. They even wrote about their dreams, their hopes, and their fears. In this way, they gave us a window into their civilization that is still open to this day. But writing wasn't the only advancement the Sumerians made. Their society was marked by a remarkable level of sophistication in many other areas. One of the most significant of these was their understanding of mathematics. While many ancient civilizations relied on basic counting methods, the Sumerians developed a complex system that involved the use of base 60. This was the foundation for their incredible achievements in astronomy, timekeeping, and geometry. The Sumerians didn't just count, they counted with precision. Today we still measure time in minutes and seconds, and we measure angles in degrees, all because of the Sumerians' base 60 system. Their innovations laid the groundwork for modern mathematics, and their influence is still felt in the way we structure our daily lives. Their advancements in astronomy were just as impressive. The Sumerians were not just observing the stars, they were making records of their movements and tracking celestial events with incredible precision. They created detailed records of the motions of the planets, the phases of the moon, and even the solstices. They understood that the movements of the stars and planets weren't random, they were part of a larger cosmic pattern. This insight into the cycles of the heavens set the foundation for later astronomical work and helped them develop a calendar that was more accurate than many of the calendars used by other ancient civilizations. The Sumerians' knowledge of astronomy was also deeply connected to their religious beliefs. Their gods were not just distant, abstract beings. They were intimately connected to the movements of the stars and planets. The Sumerians believed that the heavens were populated by divine beings who controlled the fate of humanity. The gods' movements in the sky were thought to influence life on Earth, from the seasons to the harvest to the success of kings. The relationship between the gods and the stars was something the Sumerians took very seriously, and their astronomical records were as much a spiritual practice as a scientific one. The Sumerians also left behind a legacy in the field of law and governance. They were one of the first civilizations to develop a written code of laws which were inscribed on clay tablets for all to see. The most famous of these is the Code of Hernamu, one of the oldest known legal codes. This code laid out a system of justice for the Sumerian people, dealing with issues like property rights, marriage, and punishment for crime. The Code of Hernamu was later followed by the more famous Code of Hammurabi, but it was the Sumerians who set the stage for the idea of written laws that could be enforced by the state. As their civilization grew, the Sumerians also made remarkable strides in architecture and urban planning. They were responsible for some of the world's earliest cities, such as Uruk, and Eridu. These cities were built with advanced techniques and a level of organization that was unprecedented at the time. The Sumerians constructed massive ziggurats, step pyramids that were dedicated to their gods, and used bricks made from mud to build their homes, temples, and city walls. The sheer scale of these constructions was a testament to their engineering skills and their ambition. The Sumerians didn't just build cities, they built monuments that would last for millennia. Their cities were not just places of work and worship, they were hubs of culture and trade. The Sumerians established a system of trade that stretched across the ancient world, from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. They traded everything from grain and textiles to luxury goods like lapis lazuli and silver. Their merchants traveled far and wide, bringing goods from distant lands and exchanging them for the products of Sumerian craftsmanship. This trade network helped fuel the growth of their cities and made Sumer one of the most prosperous regions of the ancient world. Despite their advancements, the Sumerians were not without their problems. Like many ancient civilizations, they faced threats from outside invaders and internal struggles for power. Their cities were often at war with one another, and it wasn't long before they were conquered by outside forces. But even in the face of these challenges, the Sumerians' legacy endured. Their culture, their innovations, and their written records survived long after their cities fell. It's because of their writings that we know so much about their civilization today. As scholars began to uncover these ancient tablets, they were astonished by what they found. At first, the tablets were full of mundane details about daily life, taxes, trade, and royal decrees. But as researchers dug deeper, they began to uncover references to things that were far more mysterious. There were mentions of strange rituals, references to astronomical events that seemed too precise for their time, and even hints of advanced medical knowledge. These discoveries didn't just shed light on the Sumerians' day-to-day lives. They suggested that they may have known things that modern science was only just beginning to uncover. One of the most intriguing aspects of these tablets is the way they mention rituals and medical practices that were centuries ahead of their time. Some of the tablets describe the use of antiseptics to treat wounds, a concept that wouldn't be fully understood by modern medicine until the 19th century. Other tablets describe methods of treating trauma that seem to have been incredibly effective, considering the lack of modern medical knowledge. In fact, some researchers believe that the Sumerians may have had a far more advanced understanding of medicine than we previously thought. The discovery of these advanced medical techniques was just one of the many surprises hidden in the Sumerian tablets. Scholars also found references to things that seemed almost out of place for an ancient civilization, concepts that we now associate with modern science. For example, some tablets describe the use of copper and iron vessels immersed in acidic liquids. These descriptions match the process of creating batteries, a technology that wasn't officially discovered until thousands of years later. Could the Sumerians have been experimenting with electricity long before it became a mainstream scientific concept? The more researchers uncovered, the clearer it became that the Sumerians were not just ahead of their time. They were possibly laying the groundwork for much of what we take for granted today. From their knowledge of astronomy to their understanding of medicine, the Sumerians were pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible in the ancient world. And as modern technology continues to help us unlock more of their secrets, we're learning just how far ahead of their time they really were. Through their advancements, the Sumerians helped shape the course of human history. They didn't just create a civilization, they created a legacy. And as we continue to unravel the mysteries of their tablets, we're discovering that their influence reaches far beyond their time. The Sumerians may have been one of the first civilizations, but their contributions continue to resonate with us today. As we move further into the modern age, we're beginning to see just how much of an impact ancient civilizations like the Sumerians have had on our world. But what makes the story of the Sumerians even more remarkable is how their history is being uncovered with the help of the latest technology. In particular, artificial intelligence, AI, is now playing a pivotal role in decoding and reconstructing Sumerian knowledge that has remained hidden for thousands of years. The breakthrough began when researchers realized that much of the Sumerian history we rely on was hidden in fragments. These fragments were not just mere pieces of pottery or clay. These were broken tablets, often fragmented in such a way that they presented a significant challenge for scholars. In the past, reading these ancient writings was an incredibly time-consuming process. Decoding even a single tablet could take months, even years, and only a handful of experts could manage to read the complex cuneiform symbols. Each symbol had multiple meanings depending on the context, and understanding the subtleties of language across thousands of years was a Herculean task. But AI has started to change all of that. The ability to apply machine learning to ancient texts has revolutionized how we understand these ancient records. In places like Munich, researchers began using AI to digitally piece together these broken tablets. At first, the process was akin to putting together a puzzle, a jigsaw that had been missing pieces for millennia. The AI couldn't fully interpret the texts at first, but it could start making educated guesses about the fragments it had. The more it learned, the better it got at recognizing patterns in ancient writing. Soon, it could not only match fragments of broken tablets, but also read across different scribes, spanning centuries of writing. By 2023, the work of researchers in Tel Aviv and Ariel University had reached a new level of sophistication. They developed an AI that could translate Akkadian, the language of many of the Sumerian tablets, into English almost instantaneously. What once took years of painstaking translation could now be done in a matter of hours. This was a game changer. Scholars could finally begin to understand large volumes of ancient texts in a fraction of the time it would have taken a human translator. The efficiency with which this could be done made it feel as though we had discovered a time machine, a tool that allowed us to go back into the past and read the thoughts and ideas of the ancient Sumerians. As if that wasn't enough, researchers began finding new, intact tablets in recent digs. One of the most remarkable discoveries came from northern Iraq at a site called Kurd Kalstan, where researchers uncovered a cache of tablets dating back to around 1800 BCE. These tablets were in such pristine condition that many historians suspect they may be transcriptions of even older originals. This new find has the potential to give us direct insight into the dawn of Sumerian civilization itself. The new tablets are being studied, with AI helping to verify the translations. It's almost as if we've struck gold in the world of archaeology, finding the missing pieces to a story that has long been lost. Another crucial find came from Girsu, one of the earliest Sumerian cities. Over 200 tablets were uncovered there, many of which were preserved in bitumen-lined containers, which helped protect them from moisture and damage. The preservation of these tablets is nothing short of miraculous, as they provide an unprecedented view into the very early days of Sumerian civilization. Researchers are now working to decode the content of these newly discovered tablets, and the AI is being used to speed up the translation process. What is particularly exciting about these finds is that many of these tablets appear to reference events that occurred even earlier in Sumer's history, offering a rare glimpse into the beginnings of this great civilization. While all these discoveries are thrilling, it's the role of AI in this process that is truly changing our understanding of ancient history. With the ability to analyze and translate texts quickly and accurately, AI is making it possible to see patterns and connections that human scholars may have missed. In 2025, a new development at Würzburg University brought even more advanced tools to the table. These tools allow researchers to detect idioms, technical terms, and even subtle nuances in Sumerian texts that were previously overlooked. It's almost as if we're peeling back the layers of time, uncovering ancient wisdom that has been buried for millennia. One of the most fascinating discoveries to come out of these recent translations is the revelation that the Sumerians had a much more sophisticated understanding of astronomy than we previously thought. The tablets contain detailed records of planetary motion, solstices, and other celestial events, some of which correspond to phenomena that modern astronomers only began to understand in recent years. One of the most stunning discoveries is the evidence that the Sumerians were aware of Earth's precession, a subtle wobble in the planet's rotation. Modern scientists only fully understood this phenomenon in the 20th century, but it appears that the Sumerians had documented it thousands of years ago. The more researchers uncovered, the more they realized that the Sumerians had knowledge that was far ahead of its time. In addition to their astronomical records, the tablets also revealed the Sumerians' understanding of medicine, a field in which they were surprisingly advanced. Some tablets describe the use of antiseptics, while others contain detailed instructions for treating trauma. One particularly fascinating tablet describes pulse diagnostics, an early form of medical examination that would not be recognized as a common practice until modern times. These medical texts suggest that the Sumerians had an intricate understanding of the human body and its functions, even identifying hereditary conditions long before genetics was even a field of study. The findings don't end there. As AI continues to assist in the translation of ancient texts, even more startling discoveries are being made. Some of the tablets contain references to what could be interpreted as early electrical knowledge. Descriptions of copper and iron vessels immersed in acidic liquids match descriptions of the so-called Baghdad battery, an artifact found much later but believed to be a primitive form of electrical storage. Were the Sumerians aware of electricity long before modern science? While we may never know for certain, these descriptions in the tablets point to a fascinating possibility. As incredible as these discoveries are, they raise even more questions. Were the Sumerians simply incredibly advanced for their time, or did they have access to knowledge and technologies that were far beyond anything we can explain today? Some of the discoveries described in the tablets suggest that the Sumerians might have had knowledge of things we only recently began to understand, such as advanced medicine, electricity, and astronomy. And if the Sumerians knew about these things, then where did their knowledge come from? Was it passed down from an earlier civilization, or could they have had access to sources of information that we still don't fully comprehend? What is clear, however, is that AI is not only helping us unlock the secrets of the Sumerians, it's helping us reevaluate what we know about ancient civilizations. Every new translation brings with it more insights, more mysteries, and more evidence that the Sumerians were far more advanced than we once thought. The more we learn, the more we realize that we've only just begun to scratch the surface of what these ancient people accomplished. In many ways, the work of AI and machine learning is opening up a new frontier in archaeology. With each new discovery, we are uncovering more about the lives, knowledge, and achievements of the Sumerians. What's even more exciting is that we haven't even uncovered all of their records yet. With thousands of tablets still buried in museums and storage rooms around the world, the future holds the promise of even more groundbreaking discoveries. The mysteries of the Sumerians are far from over. As AI continues to assist in the decoding of their ancient records, we are learning more about these ancient people than ever before. Their contributions to humanity are immeasurable, and their influence is still being felt today. What was once a lost civilization is now being brought back to life, piece by piece, and we are only just beginning to understand the true scope of their achievements. The Sumerian civilization not only excelled in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, but their mythology is equally fascinating, providing us with profound insights into their beliefs about the cosmos, gods, and the origins of humanity. The Anunnaki, one of the most prominent figures in Sumerian mythology, were seen as divine beings from the heavens. Some texts describe them as celestial beings with advanced technology, leading to theories about their possible extraterrestrial origins. Zechariah Sitchin, for example, suggested that the Anunnaki came from a distant planet called Nibiru and engineered humans as a labor force. While this theory remains controversial, the idea that the Anunnaki had access to technology far beyond what ancient civilizations knew is intriguing. Descriptions of flying chariots or divine boats might even be referencing advanced technology, though whether these were symbolic or real is still debated. In the Sumerian creation myth, humans were created not by accident, but by design. The gods, specifically the Anunnaki, created humans to relieve the lesser gods, the Igigi, from manual labor. The Sumerians believed humans were made from clay and divine essence, which draws intriguing parallels with modern genetic engineering concepts. The myth of creation suggests that the Sumerians viewed themselves as part of a larger divinely orchestrated plan, which raises questions about the extent of their understanding of biology and genetics. Were the Sumerians aware of selective breeding or genetic manipulation? It's a theory that continues to capture attention. Another significant element of Sumerian mythology is the long reigns of their early kings, as recorded in the Sumerian king list. Some of these kings were said to have ruled for thousands of years: 28,800 years, 36,000 years. Mainstream scholars argue these numbers were symbolic, meant to emphasize the divine authority of the kings. But there's also speculation that these rulers were hybrids, possibly the descendants of both humans and the Anunnaki, which might explain their extraordinary lifespans. The Sumerians also believed in the purity of bloodlines. The royal families, thought to be descended from the gods, maintained strict marital practices to preserve their divine connection. This idea of divine bloodlines is not unique to Sumerians. Other cultures, like the Egyptians and Incas, also claim divine ancestry. The Sumerians' focus on preserving these bloodlines is reflected in their myths, where gods were often involved in the creation and maintenance of royal dynasties. The Sumerian pantheon consisted of over 300 gods, each associated with specific elements of nature or human life, such as the sun, moon, wind, and justice. These gods played active roles in shaping the lives of Sumerians, with their myths often explaining natural events like the changing seasons or celestial movements. For example, Inanna's descent into the underworld is interpreted as a metaphor for the cycle of life and death, symbolizing the seasonal death and rebirth of nature. As we continue to decode the ancient Sumerian texts, we uncover a deeper understanding of how they viewed their place in the universe. The more we learn, the more we realize how these early myths and beliefs shaped not only their civilization, but also the way we view the world today.